It's about the view. It's become like a medical hospital that displays human misfailure. Like it's like here, let's look at this political oddity. It's like it really is like the left-wing equivalent of a carnival sideshow, except instead of bearded ladies and fat clowns and two-headed cows. Well, let me rephrase that. But The View is a victim of the sunk cost fallacy. How can you now speak the truth when for years you've been telling lie after lie after lie? Now you're carrying this big bag of rocks around you because it's too harmful for their ego to admit that we really were dishonest.
Sunny Hostin just got roasted and she didn't even see it coming. Sunny Hostin just learned the hard way that walking into a satire storm with nothing but pride and a practiced smile isn't going to cut it. What started as a typical day on The View ended with Sunny becoming the unintentional star of a comedy roast she wasn't even invited to. And no, this wasn't a live debate. There was no heated back and forth on a split screen. In fact, Sunny didn't even know she was being targeted until it was too late. That's what made it so brutal. So what exactly happened? Why is everyone talking about this? Let's break it down and walk through this beautifully chaotic moment where sarcasm met sanctimony and sarcasm won, hands down. A normal week turns into a roasting session. To be fair, it all started innocently enough. Sunny was having a pretty normal week, as normal as you can get when your job is giving strong opinions on national.
He's such a group. It's amazing how Joy and Whoopi became the smart ones.
For me, the most shocking thing about the conversation was how truly boring it was. They're like, well, the cicadas, they're cicadas. Okay, but it was like every 100 years. No, it's every 17 years. Do you know how many Emmys this show has? 31.
31 Emmys?
This show has 31. I mean, I'd hate to see the conversations that don't make headlines.
Television while sipping coffee from a mug the size of your head. The View was rolling along, doing its usual routine, a group of women sharing their thoughts, disagreeing here and there, and confidently acting like their opinions were carved in stone. But then, from out of nowhere, a storm rolled in. Not a small breeze. Not a sprinkle of criticism. A full-blown thunderstorm of sarcasm, mockery, and late-night humor came charging in from Greg Gutfeld's world, a place where subtlety is rare. But sarcasm is the main language. It was like a comedy tornado touched down, and Sunny just happened to be standing in the middle of it, completely unaware. No warning, no mercy. There was no warning, no email, no smoke signal. Sunny didn't even know she was about to become the target of one of the most vicious roasts cable TV had seen all month. Kat, Timpf, and Greg.
Now to some news. The feral monsters of The View say they've never heard of you-know-who. True, the show that makes mornings hell claim that my name doesn't ring a bell. It's time for
Our View on The View.
Yeah, the witch's coven finally shows me some lovin'. Yesterday on The View, yours truly was the subject of conversation. Apparently, the broads have no idea who I am, or so they say. Hit it, Gladys.
They said that Gutfeld talks about you all the time.
Who is he? No, really, who is he?
I don't watch the show.
He has a show.
I don't watch the
never
show.
heard of him.
Yeah.
I guess he's just obsessed with me.
No. Next, Joy's gonna say she's never heard of carbs.
Gutfeld, stars of the Fox News late-night show Gutfeld, spotted an opportunity and went in full force. From their end, it wasn't personal. It was performance art. They didn't even mention Sunny by name, but anyone paying attention could connect the dots. It was a sneak attack, crafted with the finesse of professional satirists who've mastered the art of making someone uncomfortable without ever breaking a sweat. Pat led with a soft touch, like a stealthy assassin in heels. She didn't raise her voice or insult anyone outright. But her tone, her expressions, her perfectly timed bless-your-heart smirk? That's what did the damage. It was the kind of laugh that doesn't just dismiss you. It reduces you to a footnote. And Greg? He was the ringleader of this sarcastic circus. He stood back, arms metaphorically crossed, amused as his co-hosts picked apart the self-serious tone of shows like The View. He didn't need to say much. His grin said it all. This
Seriously, her denial of knowing me is as believable as her red hair. But obsession? I mean, come on, Joy. Where would you even get that idea? Like Joy Behar's face, it's looking worse and worse by the day. More full of crap than Joy Behar after a night of scotch and Taco Bell. Her being named Joy is like me being named ugly. Joy wasn't there on the show. Apparently Mondays are her days off when she feeds in the pasture. It now smells like a humid day inside Joy Behar's moo-moo. And the motives stink worse than Joy Behar's jog bra. I mean, assuming she jogs. Oh, wait, there she is.
It wasn't just a roast of Sunny Hostin. It was an open challenge to everything The View represents. The roast that left a mark. Now, let's be clear, Sunny didn't cry. She didn't storm off set or have a meltdown in the middle of a segment. But the unraveling? Oh, it was there. You could feel it. What we saw was the kind of breakdown that doesn't happen all at once. It happened slowly, with each passive-aggressive smile getting a little more forced. Her confident statements started to sound unsure, her pauses stretched out longer, and her arguments? They didn't land the way they usually do. You know when someone starts losing their grip, but they try to play it cool? That was Sunny. It's not that she couldn't handle criticism. She's had her fair share. But what she wasn't ready for was the kind of comedy that turns everything you say and do into a running joke. She couldn't prepare for being turned into a meme. And the worst part? This came from people she and her show have.
I just want to hit myself in the face so I can feel something. You know, it's like so boring. She's like, yeah, I like Instacart, but don't worry, I tip the poors. But, you know, Joy, you actually don't like Instacart and you do like the store. And then Joy is like, yeah, I do. I like to go to the store. I like to walk around and see what's at the store, what I do want, what I don't want. Maybe I want tuna fish, and I just want to hit myself in the
Long acted like they're too good to acknowledge. That's what made it sting so much. A persona torn apart. Sunny Hostin has a very specific style. She's like the serious lawyer in a courtroom drama. You know, the one slow and steady voice, intense eye contact, dramatic pauses, and the kind of confidence that makes you feel like she's about to win a very important case. That style works great for the View audience. It makes her feel authoritative and polished. But when that same style is thrown into a comedy sketch by people who make their living roasting everything under the sun, it turns from powerful to painfully awkward. Those dramatic pauses? Now they're punchlines. That righteous tone turned into a running joke. Her whole vibe intense, moral, unshakably sure of herself just didn't stand a chance once it got the Gutfeld treatment. Quiet after the storm. Interestingly, Sunny didn't respond. No tweets, no public statements.
Were you pretty surprised that they didn't know what this show was?
No, I'm also not surprised that there's one part of the video from the show yesterday that you left out.
Oh, really?
Yeah, can we roll that, please?
I don't watch the show that much, but I've seen it.
Who is that? Who is that?
Greg Gutfeld's one of the hosts of The Five, who, if I don't have anything nice to say, I generally don't say anything at all. I would just say this, his show should be called Cat Timpf, not Gutfeld, because she's the funny one on it.
Somebody's flirting with little cat over here.
Well, she's the Republican one at the table, but I just think as a libertarian, I'm always looking to find common ground with other people because nobody really shares my politics. So I find some common ground in The View where she thinks I'm funny and I agree.
Statements. No cryptic Instagram captions about truth or grace or living above the noise. She didn't say a word, but you could feel something had shifted. Her vibe changed. Her segments on The View got longer, like she was trying to prove something. Her usual calm, controlled tone began slipping into something a little more defensive, maybe even desperate. And you know the internet? Oh, it noticed. TikTok turned her confused facial expressions into emoji-like animations. Twitter made her reactions into GIFs. YouTube analysts broke down her behavior like it was footage from a political scandal. Suddenly, Sunny's public image wasn't just being questioned, it was being rebranded as comedy material. The internet had a field day. People weren't just watching, they were laughing. And
The true sign of the apocalypse is someone that dumb has a law degree. Worse, if your name has the word sun in it, there's no excuse for not knowing how an eclipse works. But it's no surprise that Joy is the one who understands science. She's been on the science diet for years. They're turning on me. So that makes Sunny Hostin, who thinks climate change caused the solar eclipse, the dumbest of them all. Because everyone knows the moon caused the eclipse, which is controlled by the View's gravitational pull.
not in a mean way. In the way you laugh when someone who always acts like the smartest person in the room finally gets humbled. It wasn't a cruel takedown. It was a reality check. And Sunny? She didn't even see it coming until it was too late. The real kicker? She wasn't even directly insulted. That's what made it so devastating. It was all in the tone, the body language, the delivery. You didn't need to name names. You just needed to act like you were too cool for the drama and let the person feeling guilty out themselves. And Sunny did exactly that. She reacted publicly and emotionally to a joke that didn't even say her name. That's when you know it hit too close to home. The View's bubble gets popped. This roast wasn't just about Sunny Hostin. It was a jab at the entire culture of The View. For years, the show has operated.
Musk's 4-year-old was mocked by The View over his name, prompting Musk's child to exclaim, "Daddy, I didn't know hippos could talk." Sausage maker Johnsonville is recalling more than 42,000 pounds of pork sausage for possible contamination with plastic fibers. Fortunately, authorities were able to track all 42,000 pounds to a single location in New York City.
In this echo chamber of applause and righteousness. It's a place where being loud, confident, and morally sure is seen as being right. But when someone from outside that world comes in with jokes instead of lectures, it pops the bubble. Suddenly, all that self-importance starts to look like overacting. Gutfeld and Kat didn't argue. They didn't challenge facts or call out names. They just mocked the tone, the attitude, the self-seriousness. And it worked. Because nothing is more threatening to a carefully managed public image than a well-timed laugh. It was comedy gold. That's the thing about comedy. It doesn't care who you are. It doesn't care about your R-sum, your college degree, or how long you've been on TV.
Nah, you look tantalizing. You know, I make fun of The View a lot, but that's only because they keep talking. Because COVID also taught Sunny Hostin how to get her groceries delivered.
3 years, that's when I discovered Instacart, and I give them a big tip because they don't always pay their people well, and it's so that's been an issue, I think, for the company. But man, you can get toiletries, you can get fire logs.
Fire logs? She had to tell the audience that she tips big because even she knows she sounds insufferable.
If you take yourself too seriously, you're a walking target for satire. And that's what Sunny became, comedy gold. Not because she did anything absurd, but because she believed she was above being laughed at. She thought her intelligence and poise would protect her. But sarcasm? Sarcasm eats confidence for breakfast and goes back for seconds. And the funniest part? Kat and Greg didn't have to try that hard. They barely broke a sweat. It was like watching someone slowly trip over their own ego while trying to give a TED Talk. All the Gutfeld team had to do was sit back, throw a little shade, and let Sunny do the rest herself. And yet, life goes on. Of course, The View isn't going anywhere. The mugs will still clink. The conversations will still flow. Sunny will continue in her role as the serious one at the table. But something changed. A tiny crack appeared in the perfect surface she'd built. Every time someone...
Their brains are small. But who's the dumbest one of all? True, none of them are in Mensa, but who's the most densa? Perhaps it's Sunny who mastered the art of making idiots look smart. Now, The View could ask a mirror who's the dumbest one of all, but there's no way that glass doesn't shatter.
Someone replays that roast, Every time a new meme pops up with her face, that crack gets a little bigger. They never even said her name. That's the genius of it. The mirror was held up, polished with a sarcastic smile, and Sunny walked right into it and tried to fight her own reflection. Final thoughts. When ego meets irony, the wildest part of this whole saga? Sunny's reaction said more than any joke ever could. When someone hears a joke and thinks, wait, are they talking about me? That's not a roast. That's a confession. Kat and Greg delivered a roast that was so broad and yet so specifically on target that only someone truly caught up in their own image would take it personally. And Sunny did. She jumped into the bonfire herself, arms wide, looking shocked that it burned. Meanwhile, the Gutfeld team just kept laughing, probably already planning their next roast, already picking out the next overly serious media personality to poke fun at. Because that's what good satire does. It doesn't chase you down. It doesn't need to. It just waits for you to walk right into it, dressed in ego and ready to be humbled. And Sunny Hostin? She brought a butter knife to a roast and left with her confidence sliced thin.